Priya loved old things. She really did. New, shiny toys did not excite her much. She believed old, forgotten items had stories to tell. Whispers of the past clung to them. Her small room was a museum of such treasures. She often visited second-hand shops and Sunday markets, searching for another piece of history. Each item had a special place on her shelves. She felt they understood her quiet nature. They were her special friends, in a way. One sunny Saturday afternoon, Priya decided to visit Purani Yardane. It was a quaint little thrift store, tucked away in a dusty, narrow lane she knew so well. The shop always smelled of old books, camphor and polished wood. Delicate cobwebs hung in the corners, looking like silver tinsel in the dim light. Mr. Das, the kindly old owner with a warm smile, greeted her. He always had interesting bits and bobs. He knew Priya's taste for the unusual and the antique. Priya browsed through the crowded shelves. Her fingers brushed against old brass lamps and chipped teacups. Then, in a far dim corner, something caught her eye. It was a mirror, leaning against a stack of old photo frames. The glass itself was a little cloudy, a bit stained with age, but the frame was absolutely beautiful. It was crafted from dark, heavy wood. Intricate swirls and delicate leaves were carved all around its edges. It looked like something from an old queen's palace. Priya felt a strange, irresistible pull towards it. "How much for this mirror, uncle?" Priya asked, trying to keep the excitement from her voice. Mr. Das squinted at the mirror and then named a very small price. Priya's eyes widened in delight. It was a bargain. She paid him the money immediately, her coins clinking on the counter. She carefully lifted the mirror. It felt surprisingly heavy in her hands. She couldn't wait to take it home and hang it in her room. This was surely her best find yet, she thought happily. Back in her room, Priya found the perfect spot for her new mirror. She decided to hang it on the wall right opposite her study table. This way she could see it often. She took a soft cloth and gently cleaned the dusty glass surface. The ornate wooden frame seemed to gleam under her careful touch. She stepped back a few paces to admire her handiwork. The mirror looked grand, truly grand. It added a touch of mystery to her room. She felt a little thrill, a secret joy. Later that night, Priya got ready for bed. She brushed her teeth until they felt clean and smooth. She changed into her comfortable cotton pajamas. As a final ritual, she decided to look into her new mirror one last time, just to see how it looked in the soft glow of her bedside lamp. The room was quiet and still. Only the old ceiling fan whirred softly above, stirring the warm air. She felt peaceful and ready for sleep. Priya looked at her reflection in the antique glass. She wasn't smiling, not at all. She was feeling quite tired after a long day. But then she saw it. Her reflection was smiling. A wide, strange and unsettling smile. Priya blinked hard. Was she seeing things correctly? Was her mind playing tricks on her? She hadn't moved her lips, not even a tiny bit. Her heart did a funny little flip-flop inside her chest. This was very, very odd. Priya quickly rubbed her eyes with her knuckles. She took a deep breath and looked again. The reflection was normal now, just her own tired face, a little pale looking back at her. Must be the new energy-saving light bulb, she mumbled to herself, trying to find a logical reason. Or maybe she was just more sleepy than she realized. Too much homework could make anyone see strange things. She decided to forget about it and climbed into bed. But a tiny, cold shiver still went down her spine. The next day, Priya tried her best to ignore the mirror. She focused on her schoolwork. She read her favorite storybooks, but her eyes kept drifting towards it again and again. She soon noticed something else that was very peculiar. When she blinked her eyes, her reflection in the mirror blinked late. Just a tiny fraction of a second too late, but noticeable. It was so quick, so subtle, she almost missed it the first few times. But she didn't, and it made her feel deeply uneasy. Then, as the days passed, things got even stranger, much stranger. Priya was sitting at her desk doing her maths homework. She tilted her head to the left, thinking hard about a difficult problem. She happened to glance up at the mirror. Her reflection tilted its head too, as it should. But it tilted its head to the right. Priya froze in her chair. Her pencil clattered onto the floor. Her blood suddenly felt like ice water in her veins. This was not normal. This was definitely not a trick of the light. Sometimes when Priya wasn't looking directly at the mirror, she would catch movement, just a flicker, out of the very corner of her eye. Her reflection seemed to be mouthing words, silent, unheard words. What was it trying to say to her? Priya felt a tight knot of fear forming in her stomach. The beautiful antique mirror wasn't just a mirror anymore. It felt like someone or something was constantly watching her from inside the glass, waiting. One evening after dinner, Priya gathered all her courage. She had to know. She stood directly in front of the mirror. Her heart was thumping. She stared hard at her own reflection, trying to be brave. "Stop it," she whispered, her voice trembling a little. For a long moment, nothing happened. The reflection just stared back, mimicking her fearful expression. Then, very slowly, her reflection turned around. Priya gasped in pure terror. She was looking at the back of her own head, in the mirror. Priya let out a small, choked scream. It was barely a sound. She stumbled backwards away from the horrifying mirror. Her hands flew up to cover her mouth, trying to stifle another scream. The back of her own head. How was that even possible? It defied all logic. She frantically looked around her room. Her eyes landed on her thick red bedsheet. With trembling hands, she snatched it from her bed. She threw it over the mirror, covering it completely, hiding the impossible sight. She dived into her bed with a gasp, pulled the covers right up to her chin, almost over her head. Her heart was pounding like a frantic drum against her ribs. Thump, thump, thump. It was so loud she thought it might burst. Every shadow in her familiar room now looked like a lurking monster. Every tiny creak of the old house made her jump and whimper. She squeezed her eyes shut as tightly as she could. Sleep felt miles and miles away. She just wanted the scary night to end. Hours must have passed. Priya must have drifted off into a restless, uneasy sleep. Suddenly, something woke her up. The room was pitch dark, except for the faint, eerie glow filtering in from the street lamp outside her window. Then she heard it, a soft, chilling whisper. It sounded very close by. "I like it better out here." Priya's breath caught in her throat. Her eyes, wide with fear, darted towards the place where the mirror stood. The red bedsheet was lying in a heap on the floor. The mirror was uncovered, and it was empty, completely, utterly empty. Priya's reflection was gone from the glass. Her blood turned to ice. Slowly, ever so slowly, she turned her head towards the foot of her bed. There it stood, her reflection. No, not her reflection. It was out. It was standing there in her room. And it was smiling that same wide, strange, terrible smile. "Hello," it whispered again. And it wasn't in the mirror anymore.